Hello, everyone. Just to introduce myself, my name is Eric Liu. I'm the CTO and co-founder of DIGITWIN Technologies. While this loads, DIGITWIN, some people might have heard of digital twin technology, right? Who's heard of that, digital twins? Yeah. It's a buzzword, right? Same thing with smart cities, because smart city is such a huge concept, right? So today I want to talk about the smarter city and how you benefit, right? Because ultimately, right now, when we talk about smart cities or digital twins, we think a lot about the 2B uses, right? To businesses or to G, to government. However, once you actually have this type of data, what can you do with it? But at the same time, how does it benefit you, right? What do you feel out of it? So this is something I'll talk about today. So just to give a little background information, so I'm from America. Majority of my time was in Silicon Valley. Worked at NVIDIA. Some people might know that company. These days, it's actually worth more than Intel, which is incredible. One of the reasons why NVIDIA is such a huge company these days is because of AI, smart cities, autonomous driving, and vehicles. And one of the reasons why we focus on digital twins these days is because as humanity starts, going faster and faster than the human index, right? Because if you think about it, about 100 years ago, what do we have in terms of technology? Not a lot. We didn't have computers, we didn't have anything like that. But at the same time, because of the smartphone, because of mobile technologies, because everybody has a smartphone in their pocket, right? This has enabled connectivity beyond anything that we ever imagined. So what we do, digital twins, is basically do a complete virtual space of a physical space. So just to show you, back in the day, we started with command line interfaces. Who remembers Microsoft DOS? Yeah, a couple of people here, right? So you had to run commands, right, to get feedback. Then we upgraded to GUIs, graphical user interfaces. So Windows 3.0, 3.1, Windows 95, 98, yada yada. So that made it easier for you to access your files, right? And that time, people started using spreadsheets, Lotus 1, 2, 3, etc. So these type of technologies, software technologies, allowed people to operate and use more data. So what we do is actually, from a digital twins perspective, right, 3D, augmented reality. Anything, who's heard of AR and VR? It's pretty big these days, right? Every single time you see something rendered in AR and VR, it requires 3D real-time technologies. Why? Because we have two eyes, stereoscopic. So this is something that is very key to rendering, and that's why, with my background in graphics, this really is useful for smart cities. So this is really interesting. I don't know if people know this, but 90% of the information that we get as human beings come from our eyes, our vision. That is key, right? Because same thing like whenever I meet somebody, right, for the first 10 seconds, 20 seconds, you automatically understand who they are, right, what they're about potentially, right? So it comes from vision. It's not about hearing or smelling or something, but vision is really key. So to convey information, this is what I like to talk about. So we have the physical layer here. We are right now in this room, and some people are live streaming. We're in this room. Everybody came all over the Yangpu district. My company is actually Yangpu district, so it's actually closer. But there's a lot of information going around us. For example, the temperature in here, right? The temperature right now in the back of the room is different than where I'm standing. But how do you know that? You don't. However, if I am able to augment my world, whether it's through the use of cell phones or 3D glasses or AR glasses, that's something that I can realize where we understand the data around me. Electricity that's coursing through all the walls. This is data. And this is what we do. So we work with spatial computing, right? So we have the physical layer, which everybody understands. There's a digital layer, like I said. However, there's so many different layers, right? It's endless, it's limitless. What we do is the human-computer interactive elements. How do you quickly realize and utilize this data? Because these days, I believe 2/3 of data these days, right, and in the future, they're basically microdata. You get a text message, you get a WeChat, you get a WeCom, whatever, right? You operate on that data. So this is what we do. How do we make it easier for people to understand this data and to see it and to make decisions quickly? So a smart city, what is it? It's an urban ecosystem that places emphasis on the use of digital technology, shared knowledge, and a cohesive process to underpin citizens' benefits in different vectors. For example, mobility, public safety, health, and of course, productivity. So I'll just show everybody real quick some of our technologies, and we actually launched this in various different cities. So what we do is we quickly take what we call static data, so 3D objects, for example, BIM models, CAD models, right? Road networks, everything like that, and we allow you to create a 3D platform. But then you need to integrate the dynamic data, right? The IoT elements, right? The transportation networks, all of these different types of data onto a static environment. Then you get a digital twin of your physical city. Everything these days, right? When we talk about smart cities, it's about data, right? From autonomous vehicles to 5G to IoT, everything's about data. So why don't we make it easier for us as human beings to understand this data, to visualize this data, instead of seeing like a 2D map? Who here has had issues working or using 2D maps like a Baidu or Google Maps and then not knowing where you are, right? Because I constantly have that problem. But with a 3D environment, because we see things in 3D, we immediately understand what is the city all about. So then we integrate camera streams, or can integrate all this other dynamic data onto our platform. So another example, you basically turn from 2D to 3D, then what can you do? Oh wait, then I can have boundless interactive opportunities with my data. What if I am able to see a one-to-one digital twin of my smart cities transportation networks? Instead of a heat map, I can actually zoom in and see the individual cars. Then if I'm government, I can do quite a lot. But how does that benefit you? And that's what I want to talk about. So this is from Juniper Research. This is really interesting because ultimately, what can a smart city deliver you? It's been estimated that it can give you 15 full days back into your lives. Who wants to have more vacations? You can get 3 weeks more vacations. Why? You think about it, because from transportation, mobility, right? Less traffic jams, everything's autonomous, all this data is connected. It helps you, it augments you to do the things that we as human beings should be focused on. Instead of sitting behind a computer or sitting in traffic, right? And listening to music, podcasts, whatever, right? What about 3 weeks for you to get healthy? Who doesn't want that? Or, 3 weeks to try every single Italian restaurant in Shanghai. There's so many things that you can do with extra time. And that's what this augmented age is for, right? And I'll talk about that. Because before, right, we knew that in the 1700s, 1800s, first industrial revolution, steam power, right? So allowed transportation, allowed people to connect from different towns to different cities. Then the second industrial revolution happened, electricity. Wow. That was a big time, right? But it took so long for it to actually improve people's lives. Then we, of course, computers, the computing revolution. That is huge. We have a supercomputer in our pockets, right? Something that was unheard of. I think it was, I forgot the specific statistic, but our regular cell phones have, I believe, 10 or 20 times more computing power than the computers that brought mankind to the moon. That's insane. Think about that. What can we do with all this information and power? And then now we are entering the fourth industrial revolution. Some call it fifth, but actually for the fourth industrial revolution, we have progressed past the information age. We're getting information everywhere, right? Like I said, all around this room or in our pockets or at home. What can you do with it? That is the key that we all need to figure out. So everything's connected, right? From autonomous vehicles, like I said, to these smart speakers that the largest companies are putting out, to robots. What can robots do? How can robots help? That's right, it frees up your time. And this is why we focus on digital twins as well as how automation helps, right? Because it's all data. So I want everybody to see this. Welcome to the new augmented world. It's all data around you. So Huawei came out with this promo video last year. This is the future once everything is connected. However, this is just the first step. Using your phones, right? It has 3D capabilities. It can augment additional information for us, whether it's navigation, or it could be other more entertaining elements. This is something that so many companies are working towards. The largest companies in the world, Facebook, Google, Tencent, Baidu, they are all working on this technology. How do we synchronize all this technology? All this data? How do you visualize it? How do you react to it, right? These are just some very basic use cases. It's just the first step. And right now, I don't know about you, but after holding the phone for a few minutes in your hands, I get very tired, right? However, everybody knows about head-mounted displays, right? Some people are wearing glasses. Did you know, actually, we're going to have full day worth of glasses, that AR glasses, in the next few years, right? We all heard of Apple, who's working on this technology. We already know Huawei, we already know all these major companies working on it. So the one day where you can actually replace your glasses with an augmented reality glass that has full day battery power to render 3D elements, to render user interfaces, to augment things that you never thought possible. This is the day that we're headed towards, and this is why it's so beneficial, right? This is why all of this data is so beneficial. It just depends on how we utilize it. How do we display it? How do we communicate this information to everybody? And that is the key. So whether it's for productivity, or entertainment, or meeting up with friends, or playing games, right? Everything's social, everything's connected. And this is why I'm so excited to talk about this technology and how it applies to smart cities. So I didn't know this, but actually we have a booth over here. My marketing department told me this later. So tomorrow only, we have 8:20. So feel free to stop by, talk to my staff. And if you have any questions, so we focus primarily on smart city technologies, as well as Industry 4.0 smart manufacturing. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex.